with your team, we're going to have that available for you too. The next thing is at the bottom of your interface, there's going to be a Q&A option. That would be probably the best method for you to submit some questions or comments. Chat function is available, but it may not be fully viewable by everyone. And so let's get started. Like I said, we're going to be focusing on solutions. Why? Because I believe that focusing on the problems has one path and it's backwards. You know, we can grief counsel all day long, but it doesn't get us any closer to where we need to be. But by pursuing solutions to our challenges, then we have many pathways forward that are going to be more appropriate for all the nuanced operations that are out there. We all operate differently, just like different families operate differently. And it's our goal to help you be as productive as you can in the arena that you've chosen for yourselves. Our agenda today is we're going to look over some informative consumer demographics that are kind of tied to our place and time. We're going to talk about menu adaptations, making our menus right-sized and right-priced. So I call it right-sizing, excuse me. And we're going to just spend a moment on family meal kits so we can share what has worked and what hasn't worked along the way. We're going to talk about third-party delivery and online ordering. I've got a little asterisk there for a reason, because there's been some changes in how that looks, at least on a temporary basis. Effective messaging, and the 5 most important online considerations, because we are living in a screen-first environment, especially with less people on the road. They're not even necessarily driving by your establishment to see a big sign that talks about what your changes are. They're always going to be looking on their phones or on a screen at home. And for those of you who are interested, stick around after the end. We're going to go over some bonus content of social media, how to manage it with minimal effort. All right, so let's talk briefly about how this time around is different than it was last spring. We've got industry muscles. We've gone through this before. We've made a lot of those difficult changes and gotten used to it. And the public is on our side. And what probably the most optimistic aspect of this has been for me is that there's industry empathy building amongst the populace. And so people are really starting to understand not only the value of a restaurant within their community, but they're starting to understand just how challenging it is to operate a restaurant. That it's not that one size fits all that I was talking about earlier. And so we did some integration work. I did personally, and Harbor did organizationally with a company called Data Essentials. There's a link for it in the bottom right-hand corner. I keep washing my microphone, hope it didn't hurt your ears. And they've been doing a lot of consumer surveys and demographic slices to let us know what the consumer attitudes are towards the food service industry during COVID-19. And here's a few results. I worked with them a few months ago and again recently to get some data slices for the Pacific Northwest, because when they're looking at data that covers all of America, we're getting that Florida man guy, right? And I wanted to know how things are here in the Pacific Northwest. And what came back was pretty encouraging for me. So of the top concerns, clean and sanitary, it was slightly less important here in the Northwest than it is nationally. And I think there's some context that we can infer as we go along. Supporting local restaurants, if you look at these two numbers here, the people here in the Northwest want to support their local restaurants almost as much as they want those restaurants to be clean and sanitary. They're also looking for great taste, which we have to offer, and value dropped in importance. And I think that's because it's more important to people that they take care of their restaurants in their community and the people that work there than it is for them to get a great value. They understand that we're facing challenging times, and they're starting to understand what our profit margins actually happen to be. Their public's behavior and perception towards local restaurants. People say that during COVID, they want to tip more generously here in the Northwest. They want to order their favorite meal. That's what they're missing. They can cook all day at home, but they can't recreate the tastes and flavors that they get from us. They want to express appreciation directly. And so I'm sure a lot of you have gotten a lot of really positive feedback from your regulars or even from new guests. And what we're seeing, and this will tie into the meal kits later or the family meals, is that they're ordering extra for leftovers. And so people are planning their meals not just for that meal, but for, you know, how many portions they're going to have left over for a snack down the road. By the way, we're going to be pausing a couple times throughout here. So if you have any questions or comments, what I would like to do is to get a little more interaction from the audience so that we can start to learn from each other. I think probably one of my favorite parts about my job is I get to learn a lot as I work with a lot of you individually, and I can take your innovations and share them with other people like a carrier pigeon. And that's great. And it makes me look terrific, but the greater value is going to be peer-to-peer. And so anybody that's got some questions that they want to ask for our attendees, or if you want to offer some innovations along the way that you can share with people, I think this would be a really valuable forum to do that in. So moving on to menu adaptations, I talked about right sizing and right pricing. And so here are some techniques that I would encourage people to follow when you're looking at trimming your menu items down and getting your prices right. Reference your point of sale data from March to May of this last year, and that's going to give you a sense of what was resonating with people during the original stay-at-home order. And then also look at September through November data, and that's going to kind of give you an indication of what some of your more current trends are, the seasonal trends. And so anything that is not falling into those high numbers, especially if it's going to be asking you to keep a specific product in your inventory, I'd consider maybe putting that one to sleep for now, let it hibernate. For some people, they've been looking at kind of streamlining their menu for a couple years now, and this is probably the best opportunity you're going to have to do that. You can break it down to the basics and then start building it back up again. Right pricing, I put right pricing down because, take another look at your inventory, find out where these products costs are, and make sure that your pricing strategy reflects that, but also packaging. Now, some people like to build their packaging right into the price of their menu items. Other people are applying a flat rate for takeout and delivery. And some people are doing that rather consciously. They feel like it might kind of communicate that they're picking people's pocket. But what we've seen so far is that has not had a major impact on anybody yet. I haven't heard of anyone that complained that someone was that they were charged $1 for the packaging of whatever it was. And if they do complain, well, we're in the hospitality business, so we can smooth those rare instances over as they come along. Family meals, I said I was going to talk about this. Here's what's worked, and here's what seems to have resonated throughout the public. And this is from the Data Essentials research that they cut out for me for the Pacific Northwest. The meal kits that are portioned for 4 to 6 people have resonated the most with diners. Oddly enough, it's been more popular with couples, just 2 people getting a meal designed for 4 to 6 people. But I think that kind of ties into that people like to have these planned leftovers. And what has worked? Here's a list. We have comfort foods, whole meal offerings, build a question mark. For some people, I've even seen that they don't even have a pizza program, but they're selling pizza, make your pizza at home kits, where it's the dough and the sauce and everything else. And that's been a fun activity for kids or families. Multiple appetizer bundles. Again, for some people, I think that this was for hosting sort of their own little happy hour gatherings at home with friends in the backyard, but we're seeing just as much play on that for people who just want a variety of flavors with not a whole lot of huge portions. And oddly enough, breakfast bundles. I would never in my life think that it be a good idea to start sending out waffles or over easy eggs or eggs Benedict, but people are loving it. They're craving it, they're asking for it, and they're having it sent out. And we're going to go into aspects of how you can deal with not just food groups like that, but takeout in general in terms of sending out reheating instructions or refreshing instructions along the way. So like I said, I want to take a few breaks along the way as we go and give people a chance to comment or give feedback or ask questions along the way. So does anybody have anything for us right now?
The queue is clear as of now, Andy.
Okay, cool. So I'm going to do a quick poll as we move into our next segment of conversation. Third-party delivery. We're not going to spend a whole lot of time getting stuck on this, but there's been some innovations that I would like to explore with everybody. So if you look here, do you love it? Do you do it out of necessity, or would you rather eat hot glass? Starting to come in. Well, I'm not seeing anybody who there's a couple people who love it.
Give it just another few seconds here for everybody to finish up.
It's coming across like I would have predicted. I haven't seen a whole lot coming. Yeah, so here we go. I do it out of necessity. Yeah, I hear you. I personally, I don't believe in third-party delivery. That would probably be my answer as well. I really, when it comes down to it, just the basic business model of third-party delivery isn't a viable business model. The only reason that these companies are have income or any sort of profit is because venture capitalists keep betting on them to see who's which horse is going to win. But that's neither here nor there. What I want to talk about is the new statewide cap on delivery commission fees of 15%. There's a little disclaimer that I didn't put on here about how the total cap for everything is 18%. So this is forcing the local third-party delivery companies to not only cap your commission at 15%, but the delivery fees that they're passing on to the customer, because they're making money on both ends of this. Here's my advice. Submit or apply a menu revision with the new pricing for your third-party delivery companies. And do this to offset, you can offset the commission a little bit more. Maybe if you jack it up, maybe another 10%. I don't think anybody's going to notice that. That'll lower your hit to 5%. And you want to account for packaging too. And so the reason why I bring this up is even some of you who said, no way, I never want to do this. Here's something to consider, because we're going to be spending a lot of time on this presentation talking about how to grow your online ordering. And I have a few systems that you can consider you can use the bag to start converting people from third-party delivery to takeout orders, and methods that you have at your disposal that you can start building your own list of active customers and incentivizing them to continue to order directly from you. So in the bag marketing is that the allegory that I like to use is I still know a few restaurateurs who are paying a few $100 a month to get into those Valpak envelopes. And if you're anything like me, and I know that I sure am, that Valpak envelope goes straight into my recycling bin because I don't need a new roof. The open rate on those are about 10%. They just started offering, random Willy Wonka golden tickets worth of $100 or whatever, which bumped their opening rate to like 15%, but still. And then you get your restaurant offering, and I think the conversion rate on those is about 2%, and it's almost never the people that you want. These are people that are just chasing the deal. You're not winning new regulars. But a bag has a 100% open rate. So whatever somebody is taking home from you, it's going to make it into their house and it's going to get opened. And so I would reserve these messagings or these whatever you're going to put in the bag, that you're in the bag marketing for your third-party delivery customers or your direct telephone orders. And that's a way to convert them over to your online ordering if you have it. What you can put in there, reheating instructions, like I mentioned earlier. How do you toast that waffle back to life? Or what do you do with whatever? How do you communicate along the way that if somebody's ordering, say, a steak and they want it cooked medium, that you recommend that it goes to rare, medium rare, so it'll continue to cook or it can be refreshed when they get home. Recipes, if you've got something that you do really well, send a recipe out, because chances are they're not going to recreate it, not order it from you. They're not going to get it the same way that you do. And so you're just incentivizing them to increase their craving for that particular item or dish. You've got kids orders. I've seen restaurants put these little Play-Doh packs, so you can put little kid toys in there, or coupons from partners. I have seen a few restaurants, and I encourage people to do this not only with restaurants and with their local retailers, but supporting local businesses is top of mind for the Pacific Northwest people, as we outlined at the beginning of this webinar. And let's say you're a pizza restaurant, team up with a breakfast restaurant. Find somebody in your community that you can help cross promote, because people are not going to be getting every meal from you. They have 3 or 4 or 5 restaurants in their stable that they like to rotate through. Why not show support and show a network of community involvement that you can start to cross promote with one another? And the last part is to communicate messaging, because like I said earlier, industry empathy is at an all-time high, and this is a great opportunity to let the public understand certain aspects that just the veneer of hospitality has kind of kept us from being able to communicate without sounding like we're like we're complaining. So here's an example messaging that is kind of geared towards elevating your takeout, and it starts a little bit something like this. We look forward to seeing you soon, and thank you for your continued support of Name Your Restaurant and the other locally owned and operated restaurants like ours. You have a positive impact on our community every time you choose to order from us. We're going to miss serving you in the comfort of our dining room. Until then, we want you to know that when you order directly from us, 100% of your hard-earned dollars will go directly to the restaurant and staff. What you may not know is that third-party delivery companies take a generous percentage commission from each order. When you order directly from us, we invest those savings in what matters most to us: quality ingredients, our family of employees, and enriching this community. Now, a little note like that in a bag, or on social media, or if you have email lists that you can communicate, this kind of messaging is resonating. And I'd like to say that I made up every word of this. I didn't. I've come across messaging like this, and it just kind of expanded upon it. And I invite you to do the same thing. That's what collaboration is. Okay, we're going to take another brief break. How are we looking on the queue, Nate? Any questions or comments?
We're clear. We're good.
Okay, so we're just going to be ticking along here pretty well. I got another poll coming up here. Do you currently offer online ordering? Yes or no? And so this is not telephone ordering, but people actually calling in.
Give it another 5 seconds here.
Okay.
All right, about 40% yes, 60% no. Similar percentages to last time.
Yeah, okay.
Our last webinar.
That's good. So as I go along, I'm going to be offering some details on some best practices or things to consider for onboarding online ordering into your systems. But also as I go along, for the 40% of you who said yes, I am doing it, I'll be doing some certain call outs to maybe ways that you could elevate what you're doing. It'll make sense as we go along, I promise. So as we go through this section, I want to take a moment to illustrate the costly inefficiencies of phone-in orders, considerations, again, to help determine the appropriate online ordering system for you. And there's a lot of ways that you can go about doing this. There is no one size fits all. And presenting some best-in-class online ordering system providers along with their features and prices. One that I'm going to probably be focusing more on is one that we've been doing a lot of work with, ChowNow, and they come with a lot of wraparound services. So as I go along this, if you are using an online ordering system that is different than that, almost all of these things are things that you could be implementing and putting in integration with the online ordering system that you have. And if you're not sure how to do that, I figured out a few things, and I can probably figure it out for you and make that job a little bit easier as we go along. So telephone takeout. There's a loss of opportunity because of the limited bandwidths of telephone. So if you're using telephone ordering and you've had this experience where almost every time you hang up the phone, it's ringing again, that tells you that you've probably missed a few opportunities in between those calls to busy signals. It's labor intensive, so you always need somebody on the phone going through that order for you. And it's not maybe such an issue now as it was a couple of weeks ago, but when dining rooms start to flow back in, you really want the people that are on your clock right then to be focusing on the real life experience of people. So it's rare that we have the luxury of having someone on staff just to answer the phones. And there's a high potential of error. So who knows what the call quality is going to be like, or what the background noise on each end is. And they could be discovering you through an outdated menu. We've all been revising our menus pretty consistently this last year, and who knows what copy that they're coming across. We'll be getting more into that, into the website best practices. And like I said earlier, it's usually a rushed employee that's going through this process, and maybe it's not always the right person either. For some people, it's a host, and if the host knew everything a server knew, they wouldn't want to be a host, right? And it's a risky point of sale. So if and when somebody does order from you and they don't come to pick it up, you've lost 3 times. You've lost the product, you've lost the labor, and you've lost the purchase. And online ordering eliminates a lot of those things, and I'll be doing a compare and contrast here next. But for those of you who are kind of stuck in a telephone ordering system right now, here's a best practice for you. Set up a voicemail, contact your phone provider and see what sort of details it would take to do this. Usually a pretty simple thing. We're currently on the other line helping to take orders. Please have leave a return number and we'll call you right back. Or you can talk to your telephone provider and they can press a number to be placed on hold. Benefits of online ordering. Again, it's in the same order as what I just outlined for telephone orders. There's more opportunities, so you can get nearly unlimited simultaneous orders. You're going to have increased accuracy because the diner has full access to your menu, its options. There's going to be a lot of prompts that can be built in for upselling or suggestive selling, and they're going to have the time to make all of those considerations, especially if they're ordering for other people. They can stop the process and start asking questions about what exactly somebody else really wants that they didn't know to find out before they would have made that call. It's a much lower labor demand. You don't need someone constantly on the phones. You just need someone to check and approve these orders. And sometimes they're set up to where they can be processed directly through your point of sale. So you don't even need that person. It's just going to print. And that improved point of sale, the order's paid for before you ever get it. So if they don't show up, you fed some employees, right? And even more so, you've got availability management. So you can't update a questionable menu that somebody downloaded online in the moment if you start to be out of things. With online ordering, you can. You have access to your menu and you can 86 whole dishes or even just ingredients. You're going to get your customer data. So what that means is everybody who orders through your online ordering system is leaving a name, a phone number, and an email address. If you have an SMS marketing service, chances are you have a cell phone that you can start to market to, and people are giving you permission to contact them as they go through this, and then they can unsubscribe as they go along if this is more than they bargained for. But email addresses, email marketing is a super convenient process of marketing, and it doesn't cost you a whole lot of time or energy to do it. Like I said earlier, there's a lot of upselling and suggestive selling prompts that can be built into your system. So for a lot of people, when they're ordering online, especially over the telephone, they're looking at entrees, they're looking at the main dish. And those are often the lowest profit margin items on our menu, especially when compared to beverages, appetizers, desserts. This gives you a sort of a full range opportunity to prompt in, would you want to add a beverage to that? Or how about some dessert? I'm sure if any of you have ordered online before, you've seen a lot of those things. And higher check averages. People that order online tend to upsell themselves 15 to 20 or more %. This is a national average, and it doesn't account for different cuisine types, but some sort of an upselling ticket average increase happens across the board with online ordering. Now, when you transition from telephone to online ordering, again, contact your phone provider and set up a phone menu, a very simple phone menu. And this might probably only cost you another $10 a month to do this, depending on who you're getting your telephone service from. But leave a message. If you're calling for a takeout order, please visit our website to order online, or for any other topics or to order over the phone, press 1. And it's as simple as that. And what you want to do is get that phone to stop ringing because that keeps people from having to answer the phone and stopping what they're doing to do these phone calls. Now, there's a few ways to get online ordering. For some, it's going to be via your point of sale, and others, it could be a third-party provider, and we're going to go over those 2 options right now. So many modern point of sale systems are going to grant you access to an online ordering system. Some have this functionality baked in, waiting to be turned on. Others, it's a plug-in service. It'll cost you a little extra a month. And some older systems like Micros, Dinerware, even though it's not really that old, these are still a non-cloud-based server base, and they have partnerships set up with systems that will get you that basic service or maybe more and integrate directly to your point of sale, especially if you like to have all your data in one place. This is a pretty elegant way of doing it. Benefits of that is your orders will flow seamlessly into the kitchen. Your data is going to be automatically aligned with your overall sales. More important when you've got more in-person diners. Some systems are integrated well enough that your online catalog is going to be the same as your indoor catalog. So if you go to your point of sale system and 86 something on your terminals, it'll be reflected online. And some are going to allow you to use your own credit card processing. I've worked with a lot of different operators who have really terrific on credit card processing, and they don't want to go back to the same old 2.8% plus 10 cents per transaction or whatever it happens to be. Some of the drawbacks. Sometimes these point of sale integrated features or systems are rather feature light. I've heard a lot of reports of service or support or the onboarding can be pretty slow, and that can be very frustrating, especially when, I mean, we're restaurant people. We don't live on a traditional schedule. When we need to do something and we start acting on it, because we just realize we have the time to do it now. The interface and management is sometimes reported as clunky or difficult, and some they give you a really low or free access to it, but they're making their money on the other end with elevated credit card processing fees. Now let's talk about the third-party providers. So here are a few on the screen. Gloria Foods, they offer a pretty good system. It's low cost and they have good features. To Go Technologies is one of the first ones that came into my orbit, and I was impressed with how many point of sale systems that they integrate with, and they have a feature advanced throttling. What that means is you can set parameters where if you're getting a flood of a lot of orders in a narrow amount of time, it'll start to account for the extra time it's going to take that and be reporting on we've received your order to add time for the pickup. So it might go from a 30-minute to an hour or something like that. The ordering app from Google My Business, it's very simple. For right now, it's got a pretty low cost. You can expect that once that temporary low cost passes in a couple months, you're looking at about a 10% commission, but it's all the basics and doesn't cost you any more than that. And ChowNow. ChowNow is the most feature rich that I've encountered. It's not to say it's the only one. So if anybody knows, once I go through this, anybody knows one that's just as good or better, please let me know, because I don't work for them. I don't work for any one of these guys. In fact, I'm only employed by Harbor. I work for you. So finding the right fit for you is really the goal. And, you know, give a shout out to ChowNow. Their customer service has been terrific. The reason why I've done so much work with them is because they've been so responsive, and they've given us an opportunity to pre-negotiate a pretty good deal for you all. So I'm just going to speed through this, but I also want you to keep in mind that I'm going to remind you, almost everything that I go over now, if you don't have ChowNow, if you're using a different service or using one that comes through with your point of sale, I can help you get a lot of these features built into your systems. Order now buttons spread across up to 14 platforms. So of course, it's going to be on your website. You're going to find an order now feature on your Google My Business listing, also on Google Maps, Facebook, Instagram, Yelp. And like I said, there's 14 more, but some of them, I don't even know why they even exist, but they're there. So maybe they mean something to you, like TripAdvisor. I didn't put that on there, but some people get a lot of traffic driven through that platform. They have a pre-negotiated deal, a partnership with DoorDash Drive, it's called. And normally this is a system that DoorDash set up for chain restaurants. But going through ChowNow, you get access to this because of the sheer scope that ChowNow has in the industry. And so what that means is that the delivery fees are passed on to the consumer. So it's at $6.75 for the first mile and $1 for each additional mile after that. You have control over how much of that fee you may or may not want to absorb. So I've known of a number of restaurants that have said free delivery on orders over $50. And we came to that number because we looked over their historical averages. And if their average is, say, $35, they're offering free delivery for $50 because that's incentivizing people to continue to order to get that free delivery. I'll give you a benefit and a drawback on this. The benefit is that the drivers are pre-vetted. So you're going to get a driver only who has a 4.6 star rating and over 50 deliveries. So you're not going to get the new guy who doesn't know how to put his pants on right. The drawback is you're only going to have a 5-mile radius. So if you're in a population dense area or you're near a neighborhood, that's probably great. But if you're miles down the road from, a decent population center, not that good. ChowNow also bundles in marketing services and support, so you can opt into some email marketing that they'll do for you on a month-to-month basis. But they'll also, by default, if you sign up without signing up through our referral, they'll give you 250 physical marketing flyers, and you can use those as part of your in-the-bag marketing campaign. I guess I'll just tell you twice. They're going to double that physical marketing collateral for people that we refer and get them into their system. So it'll be 500 per location. And if those are successful and they start running out, we've got graphic design professionals and print quality equipment at Harbor headquarters. We can scan those and create you additional ones, so you don't have to pay the fee that ChowNow would charge you to do it. And for that matter, it's only printed on one side, so that leaves a whole another side that you can use to your advantage. ChowNow has 24/7 US-based customer service, and you'll also get a dedicated ChowNow consultant. So what that means is when you're calling up for an on-the-fly need, call their customer service line. You're going to get somebody who lives in America, and I'm not bashing anyone in the world, but it's sometimes a really difficult, frustrating experience to talk to a non-English speaker in another country. You're going to get unlimited promo code creation. And again, these are the kind of things that you can probably get through whatever your online ordering system is. What this does is, excuse me, you can set up promo codes for the same deal and apply them to different demographics. And so that as you want to kind of figure out what demographics you're connecting with the most, you can use these promo codes to sort that. Like I mentioned earlier, with online ordering, you own your customer data. So you can export these things in this library of history of people that have ordered from you and start doing your own email campaigns directly to them. Server-free in-person dining function. What that means is you can ask them to create some QR codes that are identified to a table number, or if it's outdoor dining, to a table outside, so that people could order without even having a server. Great for pubs, brew pubs that have a more casual service environment. People can order at their table through the ChowNow platform, and it can be expedited directly to that table number. There's a few optional programs. Local loyal membership. What that means is people pay like $100 to join, and they're given a 20% discount. It seems like it's not that great of an idea to some people, but when you really kind of dial down into it, those people are probably going to order more and more and more from you, and less from the other 4 or 5 restaurants on their system, because they're getting that. And that really is the ultimate upsell, is to get them to keep repeating the business over and over again. And for those of you who are into it, and I don't think this is right for very many people, they also build mobile apps. And so you can talk to somebody about that too. I think that if you have a multiple chain brand, sandwiches, pizza, whatever it is, may not be a bad idea to have an app. But if you've got 1 or 2 locations, I don't think it's going to do you I don't think it's going to do you a whole lot of good. It's just one more icon to have on their phone. So how it works, it's not that different from a lot of third-party providers. They're going to give you a tablet, and when an order comes in, the tablet's going to ring and flash, and you can jump into there, review the order, accept it, and give it an estimated time till readiness. The tablet and the stand will come with your subscription, and you'll have pretty deep access on the tablet itself, but not full access, because you don't want just any employee to be able to go in there and start messing with things. You'll have full control over your menu through an admin portal that you can use on your phone, on a computer at home. You don't have to be in the restaurant to be handling things like that. And for those people who want to streamline it even more, you can get an optional Bluetooth printer. You can buy it, or you can lease it. So what does it look like? Here's the pre-negotiated deal. They are taking $200 off all the setup fees. So if you want to sign up for a month-to-month, it's going to cost you $149 a month. And what was normally, I think, would be $399 setup, it's down to $199. So $348 to get you started for the first month, and $150 after that. Or you sign up for an annual or a 2-year contract. You pay it all up front. The setup's free, and you get to double the marketing collateral. If you're feeling healthy, I recommend sign up for the year, because if you go month to month, you'll have paid for a year in about 6.5 months. And here's a new service, and I'm starting to have dialogue with them. And so if this is an issue for you, if you want point of sale integration from a third-party provider, whether it's a third-party delivery or something like ChowNow, It's a Checkmate is a company that integrates all of these third-party platforms and their menus into one centralized program that will also integrate with almost every point of sale system that's out on the market. I'm sure there's one or two that it doesn't, but all the way down to the historical micro systems. And so you can get all this data integrated right there into your point of sale. And you can control all of those menus in one place as well. So you can get those bank of tablets out of your restaurant. And when you need to make changes, you can just have to make changes in one place. And that is also a month-to-month service. Depending on different features, but it's going to be between 80 and $100 a month. And like I said, I'm start having another conversation with them tomorrow to figure out what kind of deal I can pre-negotiate for you as well. So if it's interesting to you, give me a day and we can talk about it. And so I have this Amplify title here. When you start to generate these lists, if you don't have this already, get an email marketing platform. Constant Contact, MailChimp, Sendinblue. I put asterisks next to MailChimp and Sendinblue because they have some free trials or really inexpensive opening packages based on smaller lists. And you can just let that list grow if you feel like it's worth your while. You want to network to people to let them know that you have this online ordering capability now. So reach out to other retailers, other restaurants. We talked about maybe coordinating with other restaurants that are outside of your cuisine type for cross promotion, and schools. If you want to offer a free slice of pizza or a kids meal or something like that for students that are going to school online now, almost every school will allow something along those lines for you to sort of attract in the whole family. And then we talked about promo codes, about segmenting those codes to help start to identify what different demographics are being resonated towards your messaging. And so if you'd like a little more clarity on that or talk about what your options are, we can talk about that one-on-one. All right, we're gonna take another break before we move on to the next section. Nate, how are we looking on Q&As or comments?
Looking good. I just been putting your contact info in there so people can reach out to you privately too as they have one-on-one questions.
All right, I seem to be slipping down my chair. Here we go, it's better. All right, let's jump into how do you communicate this stuff online? Well, like I said earlier, we are in a screen-first society right now, and so what we're going to be talking about from here on out are your online presence or your digital storefront. So once you've adapted your menus, your hours, your specials, all that, you want to reflect these changes across your digital storefront. So as you can see in blue, website, social media, Google My Business, third-party platforms, your online ordering system. So getting all of those pieces in place is going to be key, and it'll make sense why as I start to go along. Now, if you've got followers on social media, if you've got a loyalty list or an email list, put those channels to work. Get your details right across your social media. Communicate your messaging. Communicate what you're offering and what your status is through whatever means you have at your disposal. Use the channels available to provide regular and repeated updates to your diners. The reason why I put an emphasis on that is because, especially for you social media users, what you may or may not know is that when you are posting as a business onto your page, and you say you have 1,000 followers, probably only about 50 people are getting that message, because if people's social media feeds are getting bombarded with messages from companies, people will stop using their social media feeds so much. And so putting that message out repeatedly is going to be key. It's the algorithms are going to keep people from getting the same message twice. And so putting it out 3 or 4 or 5 times isn't bothering people. You're not bombarding them. You're just reaching more people, and you can probably reach even more people by doing some boosting. And so if you want to talk about how you can do that, it's going to be part of the bonus content after this presentation. Your online presence. So the importance of being current on Google and how to update and feature, or to take advantage of a sentence that I decided not to finish, apparently. We're going to talk about the 5 must-haves for restaurant websites. And again, there's going to be bonus content after this webinar.
Hey, Andy, I do have a question that popped up since before we move on. Is there anything that operators can do with old, outdated menus that could be floating around online? Is there any way to kind of capture those and get rid of those?
There is. It's not the easiest process, but I've gone down this road for a few people. First thing you can do is I'm going to touch on that in the 5 must-haves for a website, but to try to put the genie back in the bottle, you're never going to get it all back in. But doing an internet search on your restaurant with the word menu in it, you're going to start finding a lot of different sites like menus.com, Yelp. There's probably 4 or 5. I would pick the first 5 or 6 that pop up on a search and get in there and go through the process of claiming your business page. And so if you can get your business page claimed on those sites, then you're going to have access to the menu that's being displayed on them. I wish that there was an easier way, and I wish that I could tell you that would work on every single site, but some are rather predatory, and they've got bots that search for menus, even if they're just pictures of a menu that somebody had posted somewhere at some time, and they're going to host them on there, and they're going to make you try to pay for it, pay for membership in order to make it go away. So you're not going to be able to make it all go away, but you can take a good enough control that you don't have to feel like it's one of those things that are plaguing you all the time. Anything else?
No, thank you for that.
Okay, sure. And again, if you've got my contact information and anything is a particular issue and you don't want to ask about it and in a forum or with a lot of people, just contact me directly. We can work it out, or I can find somebody who can help you work it out. So I'm going to start with the Google My Business. So this is your business listing on Google. First step is you got to claim your business if you haven't done so already, and you're going to need a Gmail account to do that. You don't need a Gmail account to do it, but it gives you more streamlined access. So once you've made some of these determinations, you need to go in there, log in, and update your business hours. If you're temporarily closed, be sure to put temporarily closed. Especially if it's temporary, you don't want people to think you're closed permanently and then you start to drift out of their minds. So give you a chance to manage your dining options. So there's going to be a lot of options along the way that you can click that reflect dine-in, takeout, delivery, no contact delivery, curbside pickup. These are the kind of things that people are going to see at a glance when they find you on an internet search. Health and safety attributes. These are also new selections that you can plug into your business account. So mask required, temperature check, disinfecting between visits. This gives you a great opportunity to update your menu. And this is where your website and your social media is where most people are finding your menu. Maybe Yelp, but most people are finding your menu through your website, through Google, or through social media. And so getting those updated along the way is going to be key. And I'm going to go over the best way to do that here really soon after just by 2 or 3 more slides. Nate, if you want to share this link, this is a great link to hit because it's going to take you to a help page that under the Google My Business umbrella that will walk you through all of those things and make it very user friendly. So, the way Google stays in business is by providing relevant information to people that are using their services. And so they want you to do this. It will help your SEO to do this, your search engine optimization, so you're more easily discovered. And they've made a process that streamlines this pretty well. All right, moving into the 5 must-haves for restaurant websites. Mobile first. Over 90% of your website visitors for restaurants are people that are looking for you on a phone. And so it's imperative that your website is manageable on a mobile phone. I can't tell you how embarrassing it was when I made my first couple of websites, and I was really proud of what I did, and it looked great on my computer. When I opened it up on a phone, it looked like a horrendous Picasso version of a website. Everything was all whacked out and everywhere. And so if your site isn't mobile friendly, if you have to do a lot of pinching and spreading, get a hold of me, and I can help you work that out or fix it up, because websites don't have to be complicated. We're about to go over exactly how simple they can be. Your menu. So it's probably one of the most important aspects to have on your website, because that's essentially what people are looking for, and the rest is just kind of bells and whistles. So you want to make sure that this foundation stone of your website is going to display well on a mobile site. And what I recommend that you do is, rather than having a picture or a scan of your physical menu, like a PDF as something that you're asking people to download, make it a page of your website. So it's always going to respond to whatever screen people are reading this on. You want to make it center justified. This is better because, like we talked about a couple minutes ago, when you have a PDF version of your website that somebody's downloaded on your phone, you never quite know what menu they're going to be ordering from you next time. And menus are in this constant state of flux. And so if you were to recreate your menu as a page on your website, or a couple pages on your website, whenever you make a revision, all you have to do is make changes to that link. And that link is what you'll be sharing on your Google My Business site, or on your social media, or on these other sites. So when you have that menu link option, wherever they're finding it, and they click it, they're being taken to this site. And that's also going to help you with your SEOs, because it's going to drive more traffic to your website. And once they're there, you can even be more creative and start to promote other things with little pop-up light boxes and other options that may be available for you. Whether you have the bandwidth for it now or not, it'd be great to have that kind of a feature when you do. So having it as a page on your site, like I said, it's going to be more mobile responsive. And so, like I said, center justifying this information, people are always going to be able to see what they want without having to do that pinch and spread. It's just a one thumb slide up and down. And like I mentioned, you can provide customer engagement options along the way, and pics are always helpful too. I just kind of dropped a dense piece of information. It's not scheduled on the slide, but I want to give people a chance to ask a question or make a comment. Do we have any yet, Nate?
Queue is clear.
Okay. Okay, so you also want to have contact information. It'd be a shame if you've shown people exactly what they want, but you didn't make it easy for them to get a hold of you. So eliminating steps along the way is key on the digital landscape. So if you have your address, it's a really simple process to link that address to a Google Maps listing of your address. So all people do is touch that address, and now they're automatically taken to Google Maps to get directions. Same thing with a phone number. Make it even better and use buttons. So directions, or call now, or a little telephone icon. Just by tapping that, then it's turned into a phone call. Especially if phone-in orders are how people are taking an order from you. Use that order now button, and it'll convert them straight to that phone call. Images, like I said, images of your food, of your interior and your exterior, are going to add value to anybody looking at coming in. The food, it doesn't have to be like fancy food photography stuff. It just has to be a good photo. Having a picture of your exterior is helpful for people who are looking for you perhaps for the first time, that they can verify at a glance. Yep, that's the picture that I saw when they drive up. And pictures of your interior, it gives them a sense of what space that they're going to be spending their time in. And of course, I probably don't need to tell you this, but it's good to have it, maybe clean. So, and when dining rooms are back open, show it populated with people, so they can get a sense of what their experience is going to be. Now, when you're uploading photos, here's my pro tip on this. You may have a beautiful picture, then you want to share it at its most vibrant beauty, and but that usually means you're sharing it at its highest resolution, and that's going to make it a much larger file size. And it's going to slow down your website. It's going to slow down especially for cell phones. Don't go for the highest resolution. Go for like the mediumist resolution. New word, mediumist, because it's not going to make a difference on your website or on a phone, anyways. And so just maybe if you've got the highest resolution, cut it in half. It's also you can run tests on your SEO to see how well you're performing. And this is usually the one thing that causes the biggest hits. And it's a really slow performing website. And it's almost always because the pictures are too big. And number 5 is update Google. But Fortunately, we can refer to short-term memory because we just talked about that. So there's not a whole lot to really get into it there either.
Andy, I do have a question that came up.
Yeah.
What do you feel are the best online marketing techniques to employ now? Social, SEO, SEM, Google Ads, etc. Who's good at doing that?
I guess I'd want to know more. Is this something, what's the best thing for you to do yourself, or what's the best service to hire out for?
Yeah, so if you want to type in the chat box maybe, or just to the panelists to answer that question, we can kind of direct the answer a little better.
I'm looking at what do you feel are the best online marketing techniques? Okay, so marketing techniques, I believe that social media and email are going to be the best techniques. That's what's working. And so that's what I would lead into. I think probably social media is going to be the easiest. And I'll give you a quick preview of the bonus content afterwards for those who don't want to stick around for it. I mentioned earlier about just posting may not be enough to really get the message out. Boosting it to your followers and their friends and putting a geographical tag on it are going to give you the best bang for your buck. So you're communicating something, if you're promoting some sort of aspect that you want to attract people attention for, boosting it for maybe $10 or $20 to your followers and their friends, and then putting a geographical tag on it. And you can dial into the settings. And this is a very simple process to go through, and just by going through the motions, it'll make sense just how simple it is. You can drop a pin or just set it for 10 miles, 20 miles, 30 miles. The reason why you want to do that is to get the most bang for your buck. So that boosted post isn't going to go to a follower's grandmother in Maine, right? It's just it's gonna cap that limit at like 10 or 15 or 20 miles, whatever it is that you set in. Email campaigns, generally, you're probably gonna, because of the way that inboxes and email providers sort information and prioritize it, you're probably looking at maybe a 20 or 30% open rate if you're lucky. So, but that still can be pretty good, especially if you're incentivizing people in different, perceptually generous ways. And person to person, having your employees on your side, partnering up with other restaurants, word of mouth marketing always works well, but it's really hard to manage. So I guess start telling people that what you need, and I think people are going to be responding to you. And then the third one that I get into is, we were talking about Google My Business. You can make posts directly to Google, and it'll populate on your Google My Business listing. When you tend to do that, that tends to incentivize, or not really incentivize, not the right word, but it encourages people to leave their own personal reviews. And that is sort of a digital version of person-to-person marketing. The reviews that you get from the public have a lot more weight than, say, a professional food reviewer, so to speak. And for that matter, if you're feeling savvy, claiming your Google My Business, if you haven't done it before, they'll give you $100 of free ad credit, so you can start putting out promoted posts through Google too. Do we have any others, Nate? No, it doesn't look that way.
We're good.
Okay, so this is probably the last open forum for the group. Are there any? Is anybody doing anything that they think is valuable for people to understand? Are there any questions that other people want to ask?
So I did just get another one pop up. We're located in a rural area with only one restaurant on DoorDash, limited delivery, and a population and a higher age demo. Our base now is not overly online savvy, but those clients do exist in this area. To follow up on the last question, what is the best way to attack this with the new lockdown? We're not near the main street, limiting takeout attractions unless we have a screaming deal. It's hard to get people. Yeah.
So it doesn't sound like DoorDash is generally going to be a big mover for you. One of the benefits of being on a third-party delivery platform is that people will discover you through that platform, and they do that by starting to review cuisine type. So they might be looking for pizza, and if you're a pizza restaurant or if you have pizza, you'll get populated under that. Door claims could work. I think that in a rural community with an older age demographic, I think Facebook is the way to go. That's going to be more direct. The Facebook does skew towards a more mature demographic, and they're a little more active online, especially now that their mobility has been kind of locked down a little bit, and they're usually very communally aware. And so I'm kind of locking in on that. We're in a rural community statement to qualify you. These are usually more integrated communities. And so without having all of the nuance of information, I would be aiming for Facebook, and I would be boosting it. I put a few bucks aside and boost it. And I'd appeal to their better natures and put out a messaging similar to what I outlined earlier, and contact me and I can help you work out what that messaging could look like, and encouraging people, please tell your friends. We've been here in the community for X amount of years. We're proud to be here. It fills our heart to serve this community, and now it's a wonderful life. We need the community to step up and help us too. It seems gratuitous. It seems like you're part of that restaurateur pride, makes you feel like, am I standing on an exit ramp with a cardboard sign in my hand? But it's not that. I like to think of it, like I said, as it's a wonderful life. You've been doing good work and you've been integrated with your community for a long time. And if they knew that you needed something, I think that they would step up and help you provide it. And so that would probably be my first instinct and where I'd want to go with it. I hope that helped.
Thanks, Andy.
Okay. So stick around for the social media part afterwards. I'm just going to wrap this up right now for the interest of time for those of you who need to get off to other things. Something that I would like to do, and something that we're working on developing, is building out a sort of a local leaders council. So what we want to do, I mentioned that a great part of my job is I get to encounter a lot of different restaurateurs, and while those conversations usually start with me helping them figure something out, I learn all sorts of things along the way. Great innovations and best practices from operators have come up with some really creative solutions for things, and I'm able to internalize those and spread the word. I think even better is if we had some engaged operators who wanted to be in touch with other engaged operators. And so what I would like you to do is, my email address is going to be up on the screen again. I would like you to contact me and tell me that this is something that you would like to be a part of, or you would at least like to be aware of. And as we move forward, I'd like to see these meetings on a semi-regular basis. And as we start to grow this population, I want to start popping some people off into subgroups so that different communities can talk about community-specific issues. And and I want to cull from this group a great advisory council of people that are level-headed and forward-facing, that we can help really identify some key needs for the masses and track down resources that we can get connected to everybody along the way. And once that goes, I'd like to see not only restaurant owners, but I'd like to see your managers on these calls. I'd like to see some of your up-and-coming staff on these calls, and I'd like to bring in some professionals who serve the industry in more of a wraparound capacity to start providing resources for our local industry and communities. So I'd like to invite you all to please jump in. It'd be great to have that as a platform to stay connected with one another. And that is the core presentation. Again, if you would like to have collaboration, support, dialogue, if you want to talk to somebody who talks to a lot of other people, give me a call. I'm not putting myself up on a hill like I'm a super smart guy. I just encounter things, and I know some things that you don't, because I'm not in the restaurant 60 hours a week like I used to be. I get to spread around and like a butterfly and pollinate a lot of things. So get a hold of me. I love doing the one-on-one stuff, and I love making solutions that are appropriate and not just cardboard cutouts that I can just start handing out from one to the next. When you do, I just ask, because it's very, very busy right now with these ever-shifting sands, just please provide me with your name, your restaurant name, and a website link so I can get a little peek into your operations, and give me 2 or 3 opportunities that we can land on to connect, and I'll do my level best to pick your first or second choice. And that's all I got for right now. If anybody has any questions on anything that we've just talked about, this is the last chance to sort of jump in. For those of you who want to see how they can manage their social media without it managing them in a really simple fashion, stick around. It'll probably only be in about another 10 minutes of content.
All right, thanks, Andy. Yeah, the queue is clear.
All right, cool. We still got attendees on?
Yep.
All right. All right, so thanks for sticking around. We're going to jump through some best practices on managing your social media with minimal effort. So first piece of advice, avoid being everywhere. Stick with the platforms that your diners use or that you're the most comfortable with. You don't have to do everything. Like I said earlier on keeping things updated, you want to keep your social media updated with your hours, your type of service, your menu, etc., any specials you have going on. For those of you who don't know, Facebook, you can pin a post. So if you've created the right message for the ages, like this is what is going to help us now, or how we're here to help you right now, you can pin that to the top of your page. And so that'll be the first post that they see when they visit your social media page. The most common platforms right now for restaurants and for a huge majority of the people that we serve are Facebook and Instagram. So, you know, there's lots of choices out there, but every platform that you jump on, you're kind of owed to stay somewhat active, so that the last post that you had wasn't "come to our Halloween costume contest 2016." People see that kind of stuff as your last most modern post, and they might start assuming that you might be closed. Cool thing about Facebook and Instagram is, well, Instagram was gobbled up by the Facebook monster years ago, and you can connect these two accounts. And so you're only posting once, and it's going to go to both of these platforms. By the way, Twitter, almost nobody follows Twitter for a restaurant. So if you're spending a lot of time, you know, chasing down that dog, you can take a break. Huge time saver is, like I said, you don't have to make a full-on marketing campaign out of everything you post. In fact, I would recommend that you don't. If you do, you know, out of every 10 posts, only 2 of them should really be directed towards some sort of a marketing initiative, or 3. But what you can do is just, you know, highlight a dish, highlight an employee, you know, pick something that says you somehow, and draft a bunch. You can draft a bunch of these posts in advance. You can spend an hour a week or an hour a month, even just, you know, scheduling these posts or drafting these posts, and then setting them on a schedule of release. And so, like I said earlier, it's okay. In fact, it's encouraged that when you create a post, release it 2 or 3 times, because it's, you know, you're not going to be flooding people with the same thing over and over again. Chances are most people need to see something 3 times even before it even registers in their brain. And so rehashing and recycling a lot of those posts, if they have sort of an evergreen feel to them, do it. Save yourself the time. So again, draft them up in advance, set them on a release schedule. Even if it's just 2 posts a week, you're fine. That's still showing people that you're alive and kicking and you're around. When you need to reach your followers, and we did talk about this, boost to followers and friends with geographical limits. Now, there are more sophisticated ways of doing things, but this, you know, the heading of social media with minimal effort, I just want to showcase the minimal effort stuff. If you're new to the idea of actually creating a more nuanced social media campaign, in a previous life, I was a social media manager, and I had run down that road of using Facebook for Business and Ads Manager, and creating ads that are really targeted down to really granular details of followers that are out of, users that are outside of your followership, and towards attracting new people. And so if you really want to get a post out there that goes away outside of your followers and their friends and targets a specific demographic, I can help you with that. And that's the basics of social media management with minimal effort. is a rather high altitude view. So if anybody has specific questions on that, the phone lines are open.
We're clear, Andy, but I just want to thank you for a great webinar and thank all the attendees for hanging out with us today and spending some time. And we're here to help you. And Andy's got his contact info in there, so reach out. We'll help each other.
Yeah, thanks, Knight. And thank you all. It's been a pleasure. I love sharing this information with people. What I love even more is getting to know you on a one-on-one basis and really diving into the specific nuances of your operations and how we can find the best solution to fit your challenges. So please reach out. If I can't help you, I know somebody who can. All right. So long, everyone.